Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is our second annual director's webinar for childcare wages, and we are so excited to see so many people logged on this morning. And we just are so grateful to you for taking the time out of your day to hear about some resources that we hope will support you in your work. We're just so grateful for what you do every day to support the children of Tennessee and their families. We know it is a tough job, and we are just so appreciative. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jen Tedder. I'm the Director for Childcare Wages. We have kind of a combined session today. So we've asked our partners at CCR&R Small Business to start us off with some resources for retention. And then we're going to jump into using wages as a resource for retention. We know that hiring and training people is very time consuming, and we want to do it right so that we keep those great people in our buildings. We're actually training 2 people right now at Wages to be new education counselors. And so we know firsthand all the time and energy that goes into that. And we want to keep them on because we don't want to retrain someone. And when we've got someone great, we want to keep them in the place that they are doing a great job in. So I'm going to pass it over to Kristen, who's with CCR&R Small Business, and then we will jump in with wages a little bit later. Oh, also, let me just say we have the chat. You guys feel free to ask questions in the chat. We have it set up as a webinar, so you will not be on camera yourself as a participant. But we do have our panelists and speakers on video, so y'all can see us. All right, take it away, Kristen.
Thank you. My technology would all shut down right before you said my name, and I was like, no. So I got it back up there. So hopefully you can see my screen. So thank you guys so much for allowing us to come and be a part of this. I'm super excited to share with you just a little bit about small business first, and then some of the tools that you can utilize for recruitment and retention in your programs. So a little bit about the small business support team. We are part of Tennessee Child Care Resource and Referral. And we work with new directors and existing child care owners and directors just to strengthen their business operations. We use a system of wraparound services. And I want to tell you just a little bit about the things that we have to offer. You may not know, you may know, but I'm going to share with them right now. So my name is Kristen Osborne. I am the assistant coordinator for the small business team. Mary Cheryl is not with us today, but she is our coordinator, keeps us all online. She has the answers to all the things. So I always revert back to her, but I'm Kristen and I'll be sharing with you today. The goal for a small business is we just want to offer guidance and support to leaders in the early childhood field and just offer that sound planning practices for your childcare programs and just enhance your business foundations. Business can be most people think of it as a financial part, but we really want you to have those things in place to make your business strong. And part of that is recruitment and retention and policies and procedures and all the things that you have to juggle. And so we do offer a new director training. The title, don't let it confuse you. This is for seasoned directors too. It's a great refresher. These are 2-hour modules that we offer every other month, and they just support directors and administrators and owners in best practices for quality care in your programs. Some of the topics that we talk about are professionalism, policies and procedures, and the list goes on and on. So even though the title says new director training, this really is for everyone, just to kind of get back to basics and what we need to focus on as our role as a director. We also offer an training called iAdmin. And this is a training where we try to get technology in your hands as an owner, director, administrator. And so after this training, you'll walk away with an iPad or more than one iPad. It is based on your capacity in your program. But we go over all of the platforms that you use as a director, like the employee portal. I'm sorry, not employee portal. I'm thinking Signal. Oh my goodness. Your e-licensing portal, 10Pal, Train TN, Childcare Tennessee, all the things, wages. We go over all these platforms that you can use as a director. We go through on the iPad that's going to be yours, make icons, apps, so they're easy accessible to you. And so this is a great training to go through if you're wanting to get some technology and just to get some more information on all those platforms that you have to use every single day. And I realize I may not have hit my sound, so I'm going to just reshare really quick, hitting the sound because the next one is a video. Before we really get into the thick of the content, we want to encourage you to think about the importance of creating work environments that are nurturing to adults as well as children. Teachers' perception of how they are valued at work is a prime predictor of staff turnover. Many well-intentioned people go into teaching but leave after a few short years. It's true that low salaries and benefits may contribute to their decision, but many leave because they simply don't feel honored. A person's loyalty to a center is in large part of a function of how he or she feels appreciated. It's the little things each day that may not cost a penny, but they do take time. They require genuine acts of care and conscious and deliberate thoughts of ways to uplift a person's spirits and let them know that they are appreciated. All right, so let me pull the chat box back up here because I lost it just for a second. So in the chat box, I would love to hear some of the things that you do to help your educators feel appreciated and valued in your programs. So we're just going to use a chat box for that. So this video just talks about how, really being intentional in showing your care and appreciation for your educators, how that really goes a long way and how that really is very impactful on retention in your programs. All right. Thank you guys for sharing. Awesome. So I see we have monthly employee get-togethers and a feed them supper, family style. Food is always a great way to go, right? I see lunch for in-service and end of the year, luncheons. Oh, see, trend. Food works, right? Especially if it is in a round shape and has sprinkles on top, right? Donuts. We do random drawings, verbal affirmations, and gifts. We celebrate their birthdays and have a Christmas party. We started a PTO plan. It offered floating holidays as well as paid holidays. Awesome, Melody. We have a Teacher of the Month. Ooh, $50 gift card. That's awesome. Teacher Appreciation Week. Yes. We already have started planning that over here for, I'm on the PTA, my son's elementary school. And so we've already started planning that. Very important. Employee Appreciation Day with prizes and lunches. Appreciation Week. Celebrate their birthday. Affirmations. Ooh, surprise Sonic drinks. Nice. Teacher appreciation, retention bonuses. That's great, Gail. Thank you for sharing that. Teacher of the Month, staff appreciation. We have Christmas bonuses, gift baskets at the beginning of the school year. That's awesome. We give teachers their own budgets to purchase supplies for their classrooms of their choosing. That's awesome, Melanie. They take ownership of their classroom. They have that autonomy and buy-in. That's a great retention tool. Referral bonuses, awesome. Christmas bonus, end of the year bonus. Everybody likes a little bit of extra change, especially around that time of year. PTO, paid holidays, snow days. All right. I don't know. I'm in the wrong part of Tennessee, I guess. We didn't get any. I think I got one snow day. We didn't get a lot of snow here. Plus I live in between two mountains, so the mountain gets it and then the valley never does. So appreciation days at the end of the school year, provide lunch, games, and prizes. Awesome. Monthly money for classrooms, paid time off, annual performance-based raises. Those are all great ideas and things that you can do in your program to really help with that retention piece. To help your staff feel appreciated and valued, and that they're part of a family. These are all great ideas. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. I want to continue the conversation about retention and talk a little bit about onboarding. And one of the key factors in supporting staff retention is having that strong onboarding process. It's important in early childhood because it helps new staff feel prepared, supported, and connected from the start. Because there's a lot of things that we need to know, right? We have rules and regulations, licensing, all the things that we need to know. And so a strong onboarding process that really explains all of this really helps them understand what's expected of them. It really helps introduce them to policies and procedures, what classroom routines are and what that looks like, child development expectations, health and safety standards, all of those things which are really critical in the early childhood setting, right? This also builds relationships and it boosts their confidence in their job and what they're about to be doing. And so that improves staff retention by setting these clear expectations and offering tools they need to succeed. So when an onboarding process is done well, it directly impacts the quality of care in your program. And ultimately, those kiddos benefit from that, right? What you're seeing on your screen is what the small business team has created as a resource for you. It's called the New Staff Onboarding Checklist. And this is just a snapshot. We go all the way to 90 days, and it really highlights all the trainings that are required by DHS that they need to take. And it really highlights those things that you as a director need to be doing with your new educator. And these are things that you are going to go into their TimPal account and make sure that you're clicking off that you completed all of these things in the estetations part of TimPal. And if you don't know what that is, your small business support specialist can really walk you through that. But those are required. And so that's part of the onboarding process, orientation, if you want to call it that. And so this checklist really identifies those things that you need to be doing as a director, and those things that the educator needs to be doing to really set them up for long-term in your program. So a really good retention piece. There's a training that small business does around this tool. It's a 2-hour training that we go through this template with you and talk about all of the things that are really necessary in an onboarding plan. So you can find that on the CCR&R training calendar. And you can get a copy of this handout from your small business support specialist, and I'll show you who those are at the end. Other resources that are available to you around orientation onboarding is Child Care Tennessee. If you haven't utilized this resource, we strongly suggest that you sign up for an account. It's free if you have a licensed child care program. And so there's a lot of information here. They talk about best practices when it comes to onboarding, communication with staff and families, and they have their own orientation checklist as well. So just more tools that you can put in your tool belt for retention. You also have some great things when it comes to job descriptions. They really outline just about every position that you're going to have in your program. There's a job description for that. And what's even better, and you may not have known about this, you can create a job description, which will help you create a job ad, which then you can post for free on Child Care Tennessee staffing services. And what it does is it takes that ad and it posts it on places like Indeed and things like that for free for you. So you can take those monies that you are putting into advertising the jobs that you have posted and put that into retention. All those wonderful things that you shared in the chat box for lunches and just treats and gift cards. Take all the money that you're putting in to posting your job ads, put it back into retention, and utilize Child Care Tennessee staffing services to help you do that. There's also great information for employee handbooks, which is a major part of retention. Knowing what's expected, knowing the benefits, the policies and procedures up front in an employee handbook really sets that new educator up for success because they know what's expected of them. They know the policies, they know the procedures, and that really just allows them to get into that groove, into their classroom, because they understand the why and they understand the processes. So there's great templates in there for handbooks as well. All right, I want to switch gears just a little bit and talk about professionalism, because that is a big part of retention. And we're really trying to change the narrative when it comes to childcare. What have we heard for so long, which we're just babysitters, right? And we're changing that narrative. And how do we do that? We really hone in on this professionalism piece. We want our educators to be professional. And so there's a lot of things that we can do to help them really understand the importance of that. So I want to do this thing in the chat box called a word waterfall. And so you're just going to think of a word that best describes professionalism to you. And then when I say go, you're going to put that word in the chat box and hit enter as quickly as you can. And we're going to see all of these words just kind of waterfall through the chat box. So think of a word that best describes professionalism for you. You can type it in the chat box, but don't hit enter or send. I'll give you just a few seconds to type that in. And panelists, feel free to pop in too if you want to put a word in the chat box. And I'm going to say in 3, 2, 1, let's put those words in the chat box. Look at that waterfall. There they go. We'll let everybody have a chance. Ooh. Oh, that's so great. Look at all of this. So I'm seeing attitude, competence, education. I'm not going to see them all because it just keeps moving on my end. Balance, respect, dependable, integrity, politeness, yes, focus, mature. I see accountability a lot. Their demeanor, respect, confidence, responsibility, reliable, prepared. Those are all great words that describe professionalism. So you guys are really on the right track. So let's talk about it just a little bit. So what is a professional? So I'm going to get a little nerdy on you here, but professional can be a noun or an adjective, meaning that it isn't just a label or a title. It can be used to describe attitudes, behaviors, and actions. And when you really get down to it, our attitudes really drive our behaviors, which then drive our actions, which then reinforces our attitude, right? So the attitude that you have in the classroom is going to be reflected in your behaviors, which directly impacts your actions, right? And then these actions reinforce and reaffirm our attitude. So if we have a bad attitude, it's just a vicious cycle. And these three things describe us as individuals. So being professional can be applied by anyone because it's not an event, it's a journey and a process. And this process usually starts with interest and desire. And so we really need to get that buy-in, that interest, and that passion from our educators to really understand that their attitude going into the classroom, going into this role, is really going to depend on how that cycle goes. Their attitude is going to drive their behaviors and their actions just reinforce what their attitude is. And so what we really like to do, especially in small business, is really focus on that professionalism piece. And again, we offer trainings around professionalism. We have one that's focused just for you as a director of how you can really reinforce this in your program with your educators, what your role and your responsibility is as an administrator and director. And we have one that's specifically for educators. And we like to do like a self-assessment, basically letting them recognize some of the things and attitudes that they may be coming to work with that they maybe didn't know before. And we're really asking those hard questions to really think about what is your attitude when you're coming into the classroom. And if you are having a rough morning and your attitude isn't so great, then how are your behaviors? Because your behaviors in the classroom and your actions directly affect the kiddos, right? And if you're coming to work unsatisfied, bad attitude, not wanting to, then retention is lost there. They're just around to get the paycheck until they can see something better come along in the horizon. So This is really important that we focus on the professionalism piece. Let them know that they're more than a babysitter, that their role in these kiddos' lives is very important. I mean, if you think about it, we're sometimes, with them when they make their first steps, when they roll over for the first time, when they're learning how to write their name, when they learn how to draw that stick person, and they're so proud of it. Those are some firsts, and those are the foundation that's going to help them throughout their education when they get to elementary school. So we play a very important role partnering with those families for a lot of firsts and a lot of foundation, and that means a lot. And so we need these educators to understand that what they do matters and it's very important. And they are a professional and they deserve that recognition. And so this is how we're going to change the narrative of that, is really honing in on what a professional looks like. And ultimately, then we'll have people who, like the panelists that are on here, we have a passion for early childhood. And so that's what we want to grow and foster in our centers right now. Those people who are going to take over for us when it's time for us to retire, which would be so amazing to do it early, right? But we want them to have that same passion, and we want them to carry on that legacy of we are changing the narrative. What we do matters. We're more than babysitters. Um, and so that's at the core of retention. And I hope that I've given you some tools, but I definitely want to make sure that you know who your small business support specialist is, because they can help you through all of these things. We really like to come to your program. We can do staff meetings with you to really help get some team building going, that morale, do professionalism trainings, all of those things. That's what we're here for. We're happy to do that. So I'm going to show you a couple of maps here. On the west side of Tennessee, Shelby has their own little county down there in their own little region, and that's Stephanie and Chastity, and they're down there and they would love to support you just on recruitment and retention. And then the west region, you can see we have Tammy and Elizabeth over there um, doing a lot of work in a big area, but they're fabulous and really doing those team building activities. They have peer learning groups, a lot of things happening over in the West if you didn't know about. In the central region, you can see, I should have said Mary and I are at the top of all these because we serve statewide and we can help in any way possible. But you can see we have Catherine, Antoinette, Michelle, and Sarah just serving those areas in the central region. Again, four fabulous coaches, sorry, who really have a lot of information on recruitment and retention. I mean, love their work. And so they've all been directors before. They've walked the walk and talked the talk, and they would love to support you. On the east side, woo, woo, over here, you can see we have five coaches, Yvette, Jill, Travis, Nicole, and Jamie, who are they're just phenomenal. And this is definitely their wheelhouse when it comes to recruitment and retention. So please reach out to them. If we move too fast and you still don't know who it is, I'm going to be on here so you can message in the chat box and I'll make sure you get your person to really support you. Um, oh, Jamie's on here. Jamie, hey, I didn't know you were on here. So Jamie is our small business support specialist in Upper Cumberland. So she's going to, be around to help you. Well, she's going to have a baby soon. So that's exciting. But there's her contact information in the chat box. Again, we are with Tennessee Child Care Resource and Referral. I think I hit the time nail on the head, hopefully right there. And so I'll pass it back over to the wages team, and I'll answer questions in the chat box as they come up, if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Kristen. And I learned some things, so really appreciate that. I hope that some of the attendees also learned some new things. It looks like you've got some questions in the chat, so I'll let you get to the chat. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to use wages as a tool for quality and retention. So I'm going to actually, I already introduced myself. I'm going to let Allie introduce herself and put a face with the name, and she's going to be on chat for all the questions you have about wages. So feel free to drop questions in the chat about wages as we go, and Allie will get right to it.
Hi, I'm Allie Tootle. I'm the Deputy Director here at Child Care Wages. Feel free to ask any questions you have, and we will do our best to answer those. And we're so glad that you're here today.
I think I was sharing the wrong screen. Let me try again. Okay, no, I was sharing the right screen. Okay. Is that the right screen, Lindsay? Okay, very good. All right, so again, I'm Jen Tedder, and I'm also going to let Lindsay and Josue introduce themselves because these are faces that you will see out and about. So take it away, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Thurman, and I am the Wages Marketing Director. And we love to travel around the state and go to different conferences and events to meet educators and directors like yourself. So you might see me around. And yeah, welcome.
Hi, my name is Josue Vega. I'm the Marketing and Communication Specialist for Childcare Wages Tennessee. Yeah, like Lindsay was saying, we're traveling around. We've already seen, already see a lot of familiar faces and names in the chat. Good to have all of you here. Yeah, we're excited to tell you guys more about the program.
Great. So I think a lot of you all already know about wages. Um, so our goal is to retain high quality educators. So this is one of the biggest challenges and opportunities that we have in early childhood education. Um, Educators are not paid as much as they deserve across the board, which leads to high turnover. We see a couple different statistics. It's kind of hard to get a good stat on this, but in a study done in 2019, the turnover rate was about 30% in the first year of, of teachers leaving the profession. And so this negatively impacts children and the centers and just trying to keep things running when you're constantly having turnover. And then a lot of times, childcare facilities don't have the resources to help people go back to school and earn more education. And so a lot of people aren't continuing ed, which we know is good for children if they have highly qualified teachers. And so Wages is here to help solve that problem. We reward early childhood educators. And so Wages gives a direct deposit directly to the educator's account. If they qualify, every 6 months that they stay in their center working with their children. And so our goal is to help you all by rewarding those educators with monetary reward so that they can afford life. Life is expensive right now. And then also, um, it really, what we've seen from our surveys is that, yes, the financial reward is very, very helpful. But just being recognized and being praised and being told that they're important is such a big impact as well on teachers. And so just an overview for you all that might be new to wages. Our salary supplements range from $600 a year to $7,800 a year based on your level of education. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then those are paid in 6 months installments. So you get half of that amount every 6 months that you stay in your center. And so our goal is to maintain that retention, but also encourage people to gain more college education. And this is new in the last year or so. Directors are eligible for wages. So in the past, it was mostly for teachers, but we wanted to make sure that you all are aware that directors can be eligible for wages. For a director to be eligible for wages, basically they need to meet all the other eligibility requirements and work on site. So it used to be that you had to be in a classroom for a certain amount of time. But now we're counting all those other administrative duties that you also have to do, like payroll, planning, covering classes, talking to parents, all the paperwork that you have to do. And so if your title is assistant director, director owner, teacher, director, or even teacher assistant director, then we are not requiring you to be full-time in the classroom. And we heard from our teachers and from our participants that, it would really make a big difference if directors could be on wages, because they're really keeping things afloat. And without the amazing directors that we have, we would not have the great centers that we have in Tennessee. So we want to make sure that we reward them for also staying in the field. So you do need to meet all the other requirements. So I'm going to talk about those requirements and give a quick update on those requirements. So first, you have to work in a DHS licensed childcare program. And we're looking at children working in centers that serve children 0 to 5. So this is not for school age centers. This is for under school aged. They'll need, I'm going to skip this one and come back to it. One of the education levels listed on our salary supplement scale, which I'll share in just a moment. And then they need to work at least 6 months in the same program. So this says ages birth to 5, at least 10 hours in the classroom. That's for teachers. Directors, the 10 hours in the classroom is waived. And then they have to still work there when we call. So what happens is someone will apply, and then they will work 6 months, and then we're going to call and say, hey, do they still work here? And they have to still be working there when we call. And then if they do work there, then they'll get paid the following month. So that first 6 months of wages is technically 7 months before you get your first payment. But then after that, it will be every 6 months. Okay, now I want to talk about the income requirement. So the income requirement has been $20 an hour for the last 3 or 4 years. It was $15 an hour when we first started, and it got raised to 20. The governor has awarded us a big chunk of grant money, which we're so thankful for. And so we will be raising that to $30 an hour. We don't have a timeline yet. It will be sometime soon, but we're waiting on DHS to make their announcement about when we can actually start using those funds. But what I want to share with you all is that if you have teachers or directors that make over $20 an hour and they meet all the other requirements, I would love for them to go ahead and apply. And what we'll do is we'll process their application and we'll hold it until DHS makes their announcement. And when they say, yes, you can spend the money, then we'll let them know when their payment month will be. But it would be great to go ahead and get some of those folks in the pipeline so that we don't have, we can process them in a timely manner so we don't have lots and lots of applications at once. So if you do have people, they can go ahead and apply. We'll go ahead and get them processed and let them know if they're eligible. If they're not eligible, then we will also let them know some resources to become eligible. Because usually if they're not eligible, it's because they don't have the education level needed to be eligible. I wanted to show you all on our website where to apply. So this is our website, tnwages.org, and you can direct educators to this button that says start an application. They can also click here. There's lots of places to click. So they'll do the application on the website. They'll put in your email for the director email. You'll get an email to verify, yes, they work here. And then they'll send us their transcripts. And they'll upload a pay stub into the application. It shouldn't take very long. It's super easy. If they run into any trouble at all, we have our little chat person here that is womaned from 8:30 Eastern to 4:30 Eastern, Monday through Friday, as long as we're open. We've got someone on there to answer questions if they run into any issues with the application, or they're welcome to call us. Okay, and then one thing that has not changed since October of 2023 is our wages scale. So the education levels are still the same. Always want to reiterate that all of the credits listed on our education scale are college credits from a regionally accredited college or university. The only thing that is not a college credit is this national CDA, which can be earned through a training program. If your people do not have a CDA and they want to be on wages, really encourage them to go through college courses to get their CDA. because it's going to make it a lot easier for them to move up the scale if they've gotten college classes to get their CDA. And we'll go over a little bit later some resources. And so this is on our website. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it is kind of complicated, but the main thing you need to know is if your teachers have at a minimum 6 college credits in early childhood education, so age 0 to 5, they can qualify. Or if they have a CDA, they can qualify. Or down here, level 7, which is a temporary level, if they have a bachelor's degree in literally anything. So a lot of you all may have teachers in your classroom that went and got their bachelor's degree in psychology, like I did. And their passion is really early childhood education. And so they're working in your center. Or their degree is in music and they want to teach children music, but their degree isn't in early childhood. That's okay. They can hop on the wages scale right here to level 7. Level 1 through this first level 7 are temporary levels, and the educator will have 2 years to gain more education. And we'll give them resources, we'll help them through that process. There are so many resources in Tennessee, and I will share some of those with y'all a little bit later. And then one last time, I mentioned it earlier, but these yearly supplements are paid out in 2 payments. So for a level 7, which is our most common level, the first 6 months, they'll get $1,875 if they're full-time. Second 6 months, they'll get $1,875 again if they're full-time. If they're not full-time, then that will be a little bit less. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Looks like Allie's taking care of all the questions on chat. Again, this is on our website. You can always find this on the website, and you go to how it works on our website, and you can click on the salary supplement scale there. So I am going to pass it over to marketing to talk about our impact and some of the stats that we're seeing. And then I'll jump in a little bit later with some resources for how you all can help us get more folks on wages.
Okay, awesome. Jen, I wanted to ask if there was a way to expand the presentation. I think if you click in, there's a button. It's okay. It's fine. Okay, well, let's get started talking about wages impact. So as of to date, Wages has given out over $20 million in salary supplements distributed to educators and directors all throughout the state of Tennessee. We currently have around 1,119 childcare centers participating, and we have paid over 4,000 educators. And let's just talk a little bit more into the numbers and kind of give you guys some concrete stats around how wages is a big tool to help in retention. So the retention rate of a wages participant or of wages participants is currently 84%, and this is pulled from our last recent annual survey. And if you look at the average industry turnover rate, it's around 35%. So wages educators are nearly twice as likely to stay in their roles compared to the national average, which is really good. And to dive a little bit deeper into our survey results, when it comes to just overall satisfaction of wages participants and directors who utilize the wages program in their center for retention, there is a 99.3% satisfaction rate. So that's really awesome. We love to see that the program is helping educators and directors like feel overall more satisfied and happy in the field that they love. And then we always like to touch on does wages help people feel encouraged to pursue their education further? Because that's one of our goals too. So, 84.6% of educators say that wages motivates them to pursue more education. And then, similar to that, just encourage people to stay in the field. A lot of people choose this field not because of the money, but because it's simply what they love to do and it's their passion. And we were very pleased to see that 95.6% of educators say that wages encourages them to stay in early childhood education. And then finally, I feel like a lot of people in today's time feel a little bit of financial stress. So we wanted to gauge, how does the wages program affect people feeling financial stress? Like, does it help them in that way? So we were also very pleased to see that 96.4% of educators say that the wages program helps ease their financial stresses and provides them with more of a clear headspace to come into their center and work with the children every day. Here at the bottom, this is a really uplifting little note from a current participant who said that childcare wages plays a vital role in them working in a profession that they love. The supplement enables them to stay with their current employer while having the benefit of the extra income. And then, so how does this kind of come back to you guys as directors? Well, it comes to be that staff, like early childcare staff, they learn about wages from you guys. We see that 53% of our applicants say that they learned about wages from their center director. So your outreach definitely does make a difference, especially if, maybe one of your staff is a little bit more introverted or they might not frequent early child care events or conferences throughout the state. If they don't have a director to promote this program as a tool for them, they simply might not hear about it. So that's where you guys come in, and your role is very special. So following that, how can you promote wages in your center? So we listed a few helpful tips, and one of them would be include wages information in your onboarding. So whether you give out onboarding packets with different print materials, or if you have a video, um, anything like that, including wages, even if it's just a snippet of what we do, I think that would be a great tool. Um, and also, we as the wages team are always here to help. So if you find yourself, needing a flyer or needing an explainer video, please feel free to always reach out to us because we do have those tools handy and we would love for them to be utilized by you guys. Another tip would be to send the Child Care Wages Tennessee website and or our application link to the new staff within the first few weeks of hire. Just because I know for me personally, I'm a big person that goes and searches certain things in my email to find whatever. And if you were to send, something in their email in the first few weeks, they could always go search it, go back to it, and find that link, which is very helpful. And then another tip is host a Zoom information session about wages. And also, doesn't just have to be about wages, it can be about other resources like CCR&R Small Business, Childcare Tennessee, or even TECTA. There's a lot of resources that are available to you and your staff. And maybe hosting a Zoom information session that touches on all of those would be great. And we are very happy to join those and share a little presentation about how our program works and how they could benefit. And then finally, display brochures and posters in staff areas like the staff break room or, wherever you think would be the best in your particular center. Um, and we will get to that in just a moment. So, a lot of what we touched on in the last slide comes down to kind of just promoting wages by having the material handy. So, if you need materials, just ask us. Um, right here, let us know if you need more materials for your center, whether it be generic flyer and the salary supplement scale, or we also have a good amount of education resource flyers as well. If you would like to request these, you can email wages@signalcenters.org with your center's mailing address and how many print materials you would need. We are happy to assist. And then additionally, with the information session and Zooms, if you would like a Zoom for your staff, scanning this QR code here is a great first step to securing a time. We're happy to offer the virtual information sessions with your staff, and we really love meeting your team. So if you scan this QR code, it takes you to a certain page on our website where you can request a Zoom or in-person visit for a representative from Wages to talk with your staff. I would advise that if I would say Zoom is a little bit quicker to schedule. So if Zoom is what works best for you, I think that's a great option.
And Lindsay, we'll put this link in the chat a little bit later too, if people are not able to take a screenshot right now.
Yes, I will upload that in the chat right now. Okay, and Jen, do you want to take it away here? Awesome.
Yes. Okay. So, one other thing, after people have applied, a lot of times they might be on that temporary level and they want to move up. So I want to make sure I provide you all with some resources. Um, Anytime someone doesn't qualify for wages, we send them these resources in the mail. But just for your knowledge, to make sure everyone is aware of different resources that are out there. First of all is TECTA, which is one of our partners. There's the full screen, Lindsay. I just found it. Okay. They are the Tennessee Early Childhood Training Alliance. So what TECTA can do is after participants take a 30-hour orientation class, TECTA will help with financially with them taking college courses in early childhood education. And so there is if you go to tecta.info, you can learn more, but we really encourage people if they want to move up the wages scale to get in touch with TECTA. And one of those resources that Lindsay has is a trifold that has education resources. And so that has contact information for all of the TECTA sites across the state for that region. So the East Tennessee one has contact information for ETSU, Chat State, Roan State. Middle Tennessee will have all the Middle Tennessee sites. And West Tennessee will have the West Tennessee site so that you can get that warm handoff to a person that is at that site to assist. So TECTA is a really great option. They can help someone who already has a bachelor's degree if they want to take some early childhood classes. They can help someone who has no college that wants to get started. And everywhere in between. So they're a really great resource to help people move up. The second resource is Tennessee Reconnect. So I used to work at a community college, and I will tell you that Tennessee community colleges are so just accommodating to adult students. So each region has a Reconnect navigator. And so I will actually drop in the chat after I'm done sharing the link to Tennessee Reconnect navigators. So it's almost like a when you were in high school, remember you had a college counselor. So the Navigators, it's a free resource to Tennesseans that will help Tennesseans to go back to college, apply for financial aid, apply for college, get registered, and all of that. So that's for everybody. But then if you don't already have a college degree, there's a scholarship called Tennessee Reconnect, and this will pay tuition at a Tennessee community college for people that are working towards their associate's degree. And you don't have to be full-time. You can take 2 classes at a time to get Tennessee Reconnect. And so this is a really great option for Tennesseans that don't already have a degree. This scholarship will cover full tuition. So between Tennessee Reconnect and TECTA, funding shouldn't be an issue for college, but I know that time is an issue. Luckily, most of these colleges do cater to adult students. They have evening courses and they have online courses that can be helpful.